Hey guys, welcome to MXA Fitness, which is mass times acceleration, which when defined equals force, because we're going to be the driving force behind your fitness goals. I'm Mark Green, MXA founder and instructor. Today I'm going to speak to you about how to bulk up and some training interventions you can put in place to ensure that happens. So a lot of people I see training, they're kind of just going through the motions, conforming to the norm, performing the same exercises each time they go to the gym, and generally have no real direction. So I thought I'd upload this blog to perhaps, or hopefully, give some direction. So I'm going to speak about the physiology behind bulking up and how you can manipulate that to ensure in your training that you achieve your goal, which hopefully, if you're watching this blog, is to bulk up. So how are the muscles made up? Well, at a microscopic level, they're made up of what are known as fibres. Just like a carpet's made up of fibres, your muscles are made up of fibres too. We have two types. We have fast twitch muscle fibres and we have slow twitch muscle fibres. Fast twitch muscle fibres are more commonly associated with power movements such as sprinting and jumping, whereas slow twitch are more commonly associated with long distance running, cardio, and both fibres have the potential to grow, which is the important fact here. So when you're training your muscles, when you're performing your weights, it's the muscle fibres that are growing, which is why your muscles get bigger over time. Fast twitch muscle fibres have more potential to grow than slow twitch, but the important thing here is that they can both grow. Okay? So when you're performing your weightlifting, for example, with a bench press, and you may aim between 8 to 12 repetitions. But why is that? Do you know? Because not many people I speak to do. The reason is, if we're trying to train all our muscle fibres, because they all have the potential to grow, you need to exhaust as many muscle fibres as you physically can. And that 8 to 12 repetition range is ideal for doing so, because the weight's just heavy enough to kind of tap into all of the muscle fibres. Anything above 12, it's going to be too light and you're going to get a burn, but you're going to be able to keep going. Anything below that, you're only going to be tapping into your more powerful fast twitch muscle fibres, leaving a lot of the other muscle fibres, especially the slow twitch, untouched. So if you were to look at it on my hand here, if you're working for strength, which is repetition range between 1 to 8, and you're looking at your most explosive muscle fibres, you're only going to be exhausting these muscle fibres, but you still have all these other ones that haven't yet been touched. So a good way to think about that is if you're performing, for example, a bench press at 80 kilograms, or there's going to get to a point, if you kept going, where you can't do any more 80 kilogram bench presses, or maybe squeeze 1 or 2 out, but effectively you're going to be struggling to get even one. Okay? But if you were to half that weight down to 40, all of a sudden you can go again. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. Because these other muscle fibres, which aren't your maximal muscle fibres, aren't exhausted yet. You still got your slow twitch, you still got some unrecruited fast twitch, and you got some in the middle that are kind of both. So if you want to bulk up, you need to be tapping into all these muscle fibres, not just these top ones. Whereas if you were doing endurance work and you're going 15 plus repetitions, then you're only going to be tapping into these bottom ones. You're not going to be tapping into your most powerful ones. It's because the body keeps these in reserve. It's efficient, the body, so it needs to have reserves. So at our sort of caveman level, if you were to be attacked by a predator, you can still run away. It needs to have stuff in reserve. But in terms of bulking up, because we're not cavemen anymore, you need to be tapping into all of these. So how do you do that? It's pretty simple. So going back to the bench press example, if you're on 80 kilograms, we're going to be exhausting these top ones. So if you're aiming for repetition range 8 to 12, 80 kilograms, you're going to exhaust these top ones 3 sets. But we still need to tap into these. So what you can do is, the second that you've done your 8 to 12, and these 8 to 12 repetitions, they need to be to failure. And by failure, I mean that you cannot lift any more. You cannot squeeze another repetition out to failure. So if you're getting to 12 and you can still go, it means the weight's too light and you need to increase. If you're not getting to 8 and it's too heavy, it means you need to take some weight off and reduce. It usually equates to about 80% of your maximum bench press. Okay, so you're going to aim for the 8 to 12, and now we've exhausted these muscle fibers here. Now the second you finish this first repetition, you hit 12, you're done. Half the weight, so you're going to go from 80 to 40 for example, and then you're going to go again 8 to 12, and what that will do is it will tap into these other muscle fibers that have yet to be exhausted. Okay, now you don't want to just drop down very small amounts at a time, because it's going to take all day and it's going to pretty much give you the same effect. So don't go 80, 75, 70, 65, 60. If you half it, you'll pretty much get the same response. It doesn't necessarily have to be halved. You could go 30%, 35%, 20%, whatever works for you. But just as a general rule of thumb, I half it. And then by tapping into all these muscle fibers and exhausting them, you're going to have more muscle fibers then that are trained and elicit the response to grow, which in turn is going to make your muscles bigger, which is going to bulk you up. Okay? So you can repeat that with several exercises. Maybe 4 is a good number to aim for. So with the bench press example, you'd finish your bench press where you've done 3 sets of 3 exercises. So you've done your heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light, etc. Okay? And then you're going to move on. So then you can move on to flies, you can move on to incline, you can move on to decline, perhaps use some cables. But what you don't want to do is do too many exercises. Don't do 20 or 10 exercises, something ridiculous, because you're just going to injure yourself. You need to think about injury prevention too. Do not compromise technique in the pursuit of getting more reps, because you're going to injure yourself. And if you're injured, what can't you do? You can't train. And if you can't train, what can't you do? You can't bulk up. Okay, so be smart with this. So that's just a really simple thing you can do to elicit the bulking up response. So in summary, things you need to focus on. You need to exhaust all your muscle fibers. We have 2 types: fast twitch, top ones, slow twitch, bottom ones. Okay? And you need to exhaust all of these, or as many as you can, because they all have the potential to grow. Aim between 8 to 12 repetitions. As you progress throughout your exercises, you will probably find that you cannot reach 12 repetitions, 10 repetitions, maybe even 8 repetitions. But as long as you start there, that's a good reference point. If you start to fail earlier towards the end, that's fine, because you're going to be dropping the weight and you'll be hitting those repetition ranges on your light reps. Okay? So aim for 8 to 12. And finally, try to aim for about 4 to 5 different exercises per session, per muscle, as this will probably give you, or this will give you, the best training response. Don't go for too many. Don't aim for 8, 12 different exercises, because you're going to get injured. And don't aim for too few, 1 to 2 exercises, because you need to work your body, and 1 to 2 is probably not going to do that. So 4 to 5 different exercises and you should be good. If you have any other questions, drop me an email at info@mxafitness.com, or visit the website www.mxafitness.com, or check out the social media channels, YouTube, as you're probably watching right now, or check out Facebook and Twitter, where the links are on the website for free information that I'll be uploading and streaming constantly for your benefit. And check out the store, where we've got several different products being uploaded all the time, and especially one of our bigger sellers, everything you don't know about fat loss, which would be ideal if you're trying to burn some fat as well as bulk up. So take a look, and if you've got any questions, drop me a line and I'll be happy to answer. Take care.